Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. I am delighted to be speaking in this debate this afternoon because it gets to the heart of why I'm here, the heart of this place and the heart of our democracy. I am really concerned to have heard this debate dismissed as being about grievance, to be irrelevant, to not be current, to somehow be a waste of our Parliament's time, when it actually has been the bread and butter of my committee's work since we were formed as the Constitution, Europe, External Affairs and Culture Committee of the Parliament. We have done repeated reports on this, the impact of Brexit on devolution, our UK Internal Market Act report. We are about to publish, hopefully in the next few weeks, how devolution is changing outside of the EU, and it couldn't be more current to the work and the heart of this Parliament. I also feel that people are tone deaf to the concerns that are being raised out with this chamber. Concerns raised at the Interparliamentary Forum, which is the grouping of the Senate, Stormont, Westminster, the House of Lords and this Scottish Parliament to deal with post-Brexit issues, all have raised concerns about how devolution is moving forward. It's also tone deaf to the experts who have given advice to our committee. Michelle Thompson mentioned Professor McEwen. Our committee is advised by Professor McCorkindale, Professor Keating. We also have had expert witnesses like Dr Aileen McCarg give evidence about their concerns around these issues. And we as a Parliament should not be tone deaf to these concerns. This week, I hosted an event in conjunction with the Royal Society of Edinburgh in their Scotland and Europe series, the 6th of events that are continuing to examine what Brexit has meant, what the change in our status in the European Union, what the Internal Market Act has meant for civil society and for Scotland's businesses. That's current. That's the best brains in our country examining exactly what we should be talking about this afternoon, and it should not be dismissed as grievance, irrelevant, and not what we should be using this chamber's time for. Now, in our committee report on the impact of Brexit and devolution, we noted that there were substantive differences between views of the UK Government, Scottish and Welsh Governments regarding future alignment and divergence within EU law. It raised a number of constitutional questions for the committee. To what extent can the UK potentially accommodate 4 different regulatory environments within a cohesive internal market while complying with international agreements, and whether the existing institutional mechanisms are sufficient to resolve differences between our 4 governments? Within the UK, where there are fundamental disagreements regarding alignment with EU law, and while we all are respected as devolved parliaments. The House of Lords, in their recent report on common frameworks and an unfulfilled opportunity, has said it is a matter of serious concern that certain common frameworks do not align with Joint Ministerial Committee for EU negotiation principles. This is particularly significant in relation to respect for the devolution settlements, especially when it comes to addressing the decision-making powers of devolved administrations. These are the founding principles of the Common Frameworks Programme and are integral to their success as consensus-based agreements. What is additionally concerning is that this lack of alignment appears not to be the result of deliberate deviation. It is instead a result of insufficient attention to detail in government. Are we going to be tone deaf to the concerns of the House of Lords Committee and not discuss these matters in this Parliament? My committee has raised general concerns about the extent and scope of UK ministers' delegated powers to legislate in devolved areas and the opportunity for scrutinising these powers in the Scottish Parliament. We should all be concerned as Democrats, about scrutiny of decision-making by governments. We should all have the opportunity to scrutinise the decision-making that affects the lives of the people we are here to represent. My committee's view is an important constitutional principle that the Scottish Parliament should have the opportunity to effectively scrutinise and exercise legislative powers when the UK Government makes decisions in devolved areas. Otherwise, we might sleepwalk into executive power-making. I could quote widely from our reports. I recommend them to the Parliament and to people to read them and learn about the concerns that are out there. But another thing that was mentioned today that does cause me concern is about the European Government had always spent money in Scotland, and we didn't make a fuss about it, and we didn't do that and everything. Well, nothing was perfect before, and we challenged before, especially perhaps in 2013, when Scottish farmers were given an increased amount of money because of historic low-acre payments from the European Union, money that should have come to Scottish farmers, but the UK Government chose to keep to itself and disperse in a different way. So we've never been fully happy with what's happened with European money. And now we need to have the voice in making those decisions. Thank you, Presiding Officer.
Thank you, Ms Adams.